Ribbs, one of Trans Am's all-time greats, known for his hard-nosed style of driving, has always refused to ever back down on the racetrack. Between 1984 and 1986, Ribbs won 17 Trans Am races and dominated his SCCA competitors. A hard-nosed challenger, Willie T had a style all his own. And today, he makes his return to the world of Trans Am competition in the Motor City.
14 turns. It's actually a cross between a street racing track and a road racing facility, made up mainly of public roads, modified in some areas. Now, there's a lot of concrete walls here. These Trans Am cars are very big, so passing will be at a premium here. The difficulty will be for the quicker guys how brave you become trying to make the pass, or how conservative you are trying to make sure you finish this event.
And two of the fastest are going to have to start from the back. Scott Sharp won the pole in qualifying. Ron Fellows was third fastest. Both blistered tires. They've elected to change tires, which means they have to go to the back of the grid. And for more on that story, let's go down now to pit road and our colleague Chris McClure.
Scott Sharp will start in the 26th grid position after having to make the decision to change the tires from those that were blistered. Scott, given the situation, was it really a difficult decision to make?
Well, it was, because we weren't really sure, how long the blistered tires might last. And so he just decided the worst thing that could probably happen would be to run the race with the blisters and have halfway through the tire give up and have to come in and make a pit stop then, instead of to put new tires on and be able to run from the back and hopefully get a break with some cautions and get up there.
But are you in danger of taking these tires out from under you, just clearing traffic?
For sure, I'm going to have to be careful, and I just have to, I don't think if there aren't any cautions, there's no way I'm going to really be able to get to the front anyway. So as long as I can take care of the car and make use of cautions, hopefully we get the Duracell Camaro up front.
So it is a monstrous challenge that awaits now. The two-time defending champion of the Motor City 100, Scott Sharp, will be deep in this field, and the front runners now beginning to pull away as we get set for 100 miles here on this scenic brand new circuit at Belle Isle. Belle Isle getting ready on the pace lap for the start of the Motor City 100. Let's take a look at the starting grid. From the pole, Tommy Archer now moves to that spot with Greg Pickett, a former winner here, alongside. In the second row, veteran Jack Baldwin, who challenged for the championship last year alongside Wayne Akers. In the third row, Bobby Archer, the brother of Tommy, who goes from the pole, and the veteran Paul Gentilozzi. In row number 4, Willie T. Ribbs, a man to keep an eye on, who will now start in this fourth row alongside George Robinson. And in the fifth row, Randy Ruhlman and Wally Owens. Now, further back through, as we take a look at the rest of the alignment, you see Jim DerHaag in the 7th row. And we've got a lot of drivers with a long way to go, Derek, if you start this far back on the grid.
Well, that's right. A very difficult proposition for the front runners who are right at the back of this grid. Remember, we said it in the opening. The most difficult thing here is these corners are very long and winding. There's concrete walls either side. How brave do you want to be? Well, how long do you want to last in this race?
So it's a 28-car field now, scrubbing the tires, getting some temperature in. It has turned out to be a warm day here on Belle Isle. The scenic Scott Fountain in the background, built in 1923. We take a look at the conditions. 80 degrees at the moment. There is a chance of thunderstorm activity in the area. Nobody wants to see rain, but there's a 30% chance that that could happen before this race is complete.
We have tremendous potential here for a great race. Willie T. Ribbs, you mentioned earlier, we will watch him. He was second fastest in the last practice session yesterday. Feels very, very confident. These Dodge cars are very fast, and the two front runners at the back making a hard charge. So we have possibilities for good racing all over this grid.
And we anticipate the green. You've seen the safety cars pull in. This first turn funnels down. It could be very congested as they come to turns 1 and 2. They build up speed. The green flag is out. We're racing in the Motor City 100. And watch the traffic jam now as the field safely files into the first turn. And it's Archer who gets the jump. We've got a yellow. We've got problems back in turn 2 already. The rest of the field sorting their way through. We believe that it's Greg Pickett.
We could just hear the tires squeal as they went out of our camera shot. We believe that's Greg Pickett, who started on the front row of the grid, looped it. Now it takes a long, long time. It gives it plenty of power, shoots it back, and joins the way at the back of the grid. Luckily, he didn't take anybody else out with him.
The 1978 Trans Am champion back under power, but now he, too, will have to come from way, way back to try to be a contender, and what a bitter disappointment this must be. for Greg Pickett, who now gets his Camaro back up to speed. But as you can see, the pack is already long gone. Now, from the blimp, let's look down at the start and keep an eye on that front row.
And it's actually Jack Baldwin that squeezes down inside, leaves him very little room, and then he gets hit from behind. Nothing he can do. Now, look, he can't move. He's got to stay right there. Daren't turn the wheel. He's got to wait for everybody to go by. A long, long time. Probably seems like an eternity. Everybody goes by, then he can rejoin.
Here's the leader now in car number 3, Tommy Archer, one of the 2 Archer brothers who both started up front. He inherited the pole after the problems that we chronicled for Scott Sharp. Archer sets the pace. Baldwin challenges right behind him now as we look at the field coming at us head on.
This is 145 miles an hour along the front straight here. This is the pit straight. Jack Baldwin is all over Tommy Archer here.
And George Robinson is right behind in car number 74. Those 3 cars trying to open up just a bit of daylight over this very demanding, twisting new circuit. It's a busy race course, but Derek, I'm sure everybody wants to achieve some kind of a rhythm.
They do need a rhythm, but it's very difficult. You can see to pass here also. So without the rhythm, it's very difficult to set that up. This is the area that we call the Casino Square here. Look at Tommy Archer. He gets that car sideways. Jack Baldwin watches every move he makes. Now remember, someone like Jack Baldwin, he's been in this position many, many times. He's quite happy to sit back in his Hot Wheels and just see and watch what this Dodge does. Remember, the Dodge is leading the Trans Am race for the very first time this year.
Archer, Baldwin, Robinson, and Wayne Akers in the number 4 spot. They run 1, 2, 3, and 4, almost nose to tail. That's Robinson. You see number 74. There's Akers coming into the picture momentarily.
3 different manufacturers here in the top 4. 2 Fords, a Chevrolet, and a Chrysler Dodge. This is Detroit. Remember, bragging rights are very important here, and that's what the Trans Am Series is all about. Puts manufacturer against manufacturer. Now let's go inside the leading car of Tommy Archer. You can actually hear his gear change and his engine rev pickup.
He sets up now, laps 13, or the turn. He makes the smooth out of the backstretch here. And you can hear him go to work, coming down the front straightaway, completing a lap.
Just look at those concrete walls each side. Here, make a down change. This is a very fast right, left flick. Now we go over a bridge here. Over the bridge, right there. Very difficult part of the racetrack.
Chassis unloading just a bit as he came over that bridge. Archer setting the pace. Baldwin running in the 2nd spot. Robinson, who won last year at Des Moines, in the number 3 position, followed by Akers and Gentilozzi.
Big sale at Sports.
Now we're watching the progress of Scott Sharp. Remember, he qualified fastest, had to start back on the 26th position after changing tires. He's currently worked his way up past 7 competitors. He's running 17th, and you can see him challenging for another spot now as he brings the Camaro. The defending Trans Am champion picks up another position as he crosses the stripe.
That was Deborah Gregg he just passed. Deborah Gregg, who had a lot of engine problems here in practice.
Even though it has those sweeping turns, you make a mistake, you pay the price.
Very small mistakes can get you in big trouble here. As soon as you get sideways, there's hardly any room to move. And we saw exactly that happen to Peyton. Now we're back with Tommy Archer inside his car. This is a driver's eye view. He sets up for the fast left-hander. Now he's going to turn right. Turn right. He balances the throttle. Here, get on, off, on, off. Lower left side of the picture, you can actually see the throttle linkage. You can see him get on it. Now he's off. Little dabs to balance that car. It's a very fine line between sliding too much and having just enough power on. Remember, Jack Baldwin is breathing down his neck while he tries to keep his car ahead here.
An experienced driver who started in ice racing competition, has been in race trucks, Enduro, and the Corvette Challenge competition. Now a full-time challenger in the Trans Am ranks, and what a moment he's enjoying here in the Motor City 100 as he continues to set the pace in his Dodge.
They were very good at Long Beach right out of the box. They've since done some extensive testing, particularly at Mid-Ohio. They were very fast. Interestingly enough, Jack Baldwin slides very wide there. He and his brother, when they go to test sessions, they both drive each other's cars to make sure that they get the best out of each other's setup. So a good combination there between the brothers Bobby and Tommy. Now we're back with Scott Sharp.
And he continues to pick off those drivers in the midfield. He's currently 11th. He has a chance to move into the top 10, and he has now moved into the top 10 with that pass right there. Scott Sharp, who started 26th, has gained 16 positions as he tries to make it 3 in a row on the streets no longer of downtown Detroit, but now the streets of neighboring Belle Isle. We have got a great battle going right here, because
we
now
really do. Absolutely.
The attack has really come from Scott Sharp.
And it does take time to actually make these passes, because you have to set somebody up, make sure that he sees you before you try and dive down the inside. Now, Scott Sharp is making up positions, but it's only now, when he gets clear road, that he can actually hope to make up ground on the leading group of cars. That's his next job to do.
Because of his decision to start at the back of the pack, we talked to Scott Sharp about the impact of having to battle traffic to contend for the lead.
I tell you, that's one thing. Traffic's going to be a problem, and you can get stuck behind a guy for a couple laps, and if you're racing with a couple people, you can just lose endless amounts of time. So I think drivers are going to have to take a little extra chances to make sure they can get people at the first opportunity, and as you know, sometimes those opportunities shrink pretty quickly.
And now we're back with the leaders. Jack Baldwin still about 3 or 4 car lengths behind Tommy Archer.
Archer, Baldwin, Robinson still 1, 2, 3. The challenge from mid-pack from Scott Sharp, nose to tail. But the story right now is Scott Sharp, a 2-time defending champion of this event, who started 26th. He is now just passed. Randy Ruhlman has taken over the number 8 position.
Just to give you an idea how aggressively Scott Sharp is driving, here's a pass he made just 2 laps ago of Wayne Akers. Comes up the inside and says, this is it, I'm going through. Yanks the car down to the right side, and away he goes past Wally Owens.
Wally Owens losing that position as Sharp moved from the top 10 to the 9th spot. He's currently 8th, having moved past Ruhlman. He continues to whittle away. He's got a long way to go. Well, we see the Camaros of Jack Baldwin and Scott Sharp running so well today here at Belle Isle. Chris McClure takes a closer look at the Camaro on its 25th anniversary.
It was 1967 when Mark Donohue, Roger Penske, and Camaro got together to go Trans Am racing. And they picked up their first victory in one of these Sunoco models at the Maryland Marlboro Speedway that year. Basically a showroom stock machine with a few racing accoutrements inside for the safety of the driver. The fact of the matter is, if it was a cold day, you could simply go ahead and button it up, create some creature comforts for the driver as he coursed his way through the field. This year is Camaro's 25th anniversary, and it brings us to this: Scott Sharp's racing Camaro for the 1992 Trans Am campaign. A purpose-built machine, carbon fiber skin on the outside, very sophisticated on the inside. What about power plants? Well, back then, 302 cubic inches, about 450 horsepower. In the newer model, not that much bigger, 310 cubic inches, but about 600 horsepower. And in the evolution from that to this, Camaro has captured 57 Trans Am victories, and that's a record.
Now we go in car, watching Tommy Archer in his office working. See the gear change there, see how short the throw is. Very fast gear changes. Driver bobs and weaves around it, but see, he has a cool suit on and moves the steering around the racetrack.
Now let's go back down to the pit area, where Chris McClure has a fascinating story on how these cars have been improved since Long Beach. Oh, we've got a problem here, Chris, before we go to the pits. We've got a car in trouble. Wayne Akers is up on the curb. He almost hit the concrete. He is trying to hang on, gets it righted. May have lost only 1 or 2 positions, but now the challenge coming from Gentilozzi and Ribs. He was running in the 8th position.
And we only just mentioned how tight things are. When you try to make a pass, suddenly you run out of room, which is exactly what Wayne Akers did there. He tried to get down the inside. Lost the room, lost the line, and luckily didn't hit anything. But there is damage to that car. He may be on his way to the pit lane. There's damage on the right front of that car.
He was running in 4th place. Now you see Gentilozzi and Ribs right behind him. We'll go back and take another look now and see what happened to Wayne Akers.
This is it. It's a right-hander. He tries to get down inside Valentine. At this, he was lapping him, so he probably presumed he was going to see him. Obviously, Valentine didn't. And Wayne Akers paid the price. He was within about 2 feet of just planting the nose right in that concrete. So he's fortunate that he's still able to be running on the circuit after that close call and the contact with R.J. Valentine.
Now, let's try again to go back down to the pits and check in for that story from Chris McClure.
Well, as Derek Daly mentioned a little while ago, the Dodge Daytonas at Long Beach in their first race back in Trans Am were pretty competitive, but not great. Since then, they've done a couple of things to change the picture entirely. First of all, they had a prototype differential for Long Beach that they thought would work. It didn't. It's been redesigned, and what they have here in Detroit, they're very happy with. Secondly, they were down on horsepower at Long Beach because of an overheating problem. They had to detune the engines there. Since then, they've designed a bigger oil pan, solved that problem. The engine is at full song, and you can see the result on the track.
Thanks, Chris, and we continue to watch now. Scott Sharp, remember, he started way back. He's in the number 8 position, and look at this. One of the Budweiser cars has made contact with the concrete. We'll wait and see if this is the 14 car of Jerry Clinton.
I believe. Yes, it is. Jerry Clinton's car. We see heavy damage on the right front of that car. He's gone straight into the guardrail. Steering is still okay. We see him move around. The engine probably has stalled, so they'll have to move that car. This may, in fact, bring out a full course yellow, which will help Scott Sharp even further.
So we'll watch the progress here as they'll clear the course. It's still Archer, Baldwin, and Robinson in the top 3 spots. Bobby Archer, Wayne Akers.
The cars make contact here. Jerry Clinton is now out of control. The Mustang goes over the curb, slams into the concrete. Watch Archer, though. Bobby Archer just about loses control of his car. Lucky he kept control. Clinton's day is over. Archer goes on.
And as a consequence of the yellow flag, the field is now bunched up. What a break that is for Scott Sharp. He had moved up to 8th position. That's where he is right now, but right in front of him, the veteran Trans Am driver, Willie T. Ribbs, a hard-nosed driver who doesn't like to give up ground on a racetrack. It could be very interesting in the middle of the pack as Archer and Baldwin pick up the tempo. The safety car has pulled in. We're ready to go back to green flag competition at Belle Isle. And here we go at the midpoint of the mid-city of the 100. And now Willie T. Ribbs being challenged. Paul Gentilozzi is there. Also Scott Sharp.
George Robinson dropped way back for some reason. He was running 4th. Now he dropped way back between Willie T. Ribbs and Scott Sharp for some reason.
Gentilozzi now right in front of Sharp, and Ron Fellows, who started back behind Sharp as well, has moved into the top 10. He's now directly behind Scott Sharp. So you've got talent all the way through the top 10.
That's right. It wasn't Robinson. It was actually Gentilozzi, his teammate, who Willie T got by. That's how he got him between himself and Scott Sharp. Look at Ron Fellows, though. Ron Fellows now in the top 10. Also came from the back. Spectacular in his run also. So Ron Fellows right there with the leading group.
Tommy Archer continues to lead this procession now as we watch them wend their way through the streets of this brand new circuit coming into Casino Square. Baldwin runs in the 2nd spot. It is still Robinson, who is 3rd at 74. Then it's Bobby Archer, who was involved in that incident, running in the 4th position. And rounding out the top 5 is Wayne Akers.
Wayne Akers, we saw him have an incident earlier on. There was some damage to the right side of that car, but he elected not to make a pit stop because he knew all was lost. If he did have to make a pit stop, he stayed out and he's still running strongly. But look at Tommy Archer controlling this field, even though Jack Baldwin shadows his every move, but Jack is not quite close enough to make the move. And remember, we've seen twice already how difficult it is to slide down the inside of somebody.
Now they've completed the first lap, and here's Baldwin making a challenge as they come to turn 1. He took a peek in the inside. Archer was able to hold him off, but Baldwin looked like he was in a position to offer a serious challenge, maybe for the first time.
Oh, he did take a peek, and it was a very serious challenge. Tommy Archer must have got on the brakes a lot heavier than he expected, than Jack Baldwin expected. Baldwin closed right up, went down the inside, not quite enough room, but a risky move to try and pull off. But he almost made it. Look at Archer, though. Those rear tires might be gone off. That car is beginning to get sideways under heavy power, exiting these low-speed corners.
And Archer's brother, Bobby, the 4th car in this procession, is also hammering away. He's right behind Robinson. So you've got 4 contenders for the top spot right now as they find a bit of breathing room and have already begun to separate themselves from Akers. He's the 5th car in the procession. Now let's go back down into the pit area. Let's check in with Chris McClure.
Scott Sharp's crew chief Jimmy Rogers looking on with anticipation as his man tries to move through the field. Gets a little tougher now. He made up a lot of ground earlier, but these are tougher fellas.
Yeah, he's playing with the big boys now, and it's going to be really tough for him to get through that group of cars just ahead of him. He's having a hard time working at it now.
Any complaints from him? Are the tires staying under him?
Yeah, he's confident that he's got a lot of tire left. He's taking good care of them, bringing them up through the field. He should be all right.
Well, if Scott Sharp makes a bobble of any kind, he's got Ron Fellows right off his rear bumper to contend with. We're looking at Willie T. Ribbs in number 15, Paul Gentilozzi in 75. There's Sharp in 33, and Fellows in car number 4 right behind them. This is the mid-pack group. They're not now challenging for the lead. The car in front of them, their next conquest would be Akers. He's running in the 5th position. So two distinct groups now circling the course here at Belle Isle. And we're looking at Willie T. Ribbs trying to hold off Gentilozzi, Sharp, and Fellows.
And Scott Sharp, you can see what he's trying to do. He goes very wide, entering some of these corners, trying to work out a way that he can slide down the inside of Paul Gentilozzi. Now look at Gentilozzi trying to pass Willie T. Ribbs, and he gets it done.
Indeed, he makes the move to the inside as they sweep into the right-hander. Sharp is there knocking on the door. That's a move for 6th place. Gentilozzi, who struggled a bit earlier on the restart, now back in front of Willie T. Ribbs.
I'm surprised he actually pulled off that move so easily. It was such a clean pass. Now look at Willie T. has a peek down the inside. Not enough room to make the pass, and Willie T. knows that if he touches one of these cars, it can spell the end of his afternoon.
We've seen 2 wall-banging incidents, actually 3 already in this event. You talked, Derek, about how tough it would be to find the opportunity to pass in these big, wide-body, sophisticated Trans Am cars. And right now we're seeing a torrid battle back here at mid-pack between these 4. Gentilozzi in 6th place, who is a 2nd place finisher at Long Beach. Here's a pass. Ron Fellows moving inside. And for the first time today, Scott Sharp has lost a position.
Ron Fellows sat back and watched everything that was going on ahead of him. Scott Sharp lost a little bit of ground. Fellows ducks out from the inside, goes down the inside under heavy braking, takes the line from Scott Sharp. Sharp had no choice but to let him go. So Ron Fellows now moves ahead of Scott Sharp. Good move.
Tommy Archer continues to set the pace. He's been our leader from the green flag. He's been relentlessly stalked by Jack Baldwin, who continues to run 2nd. And now we see those 2 swing through the corners once again. And Bobby Archer has moved by Robinson. He's now running in the 3rd position.
And a bit of a gap now between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. But Tommy Archer, we see him now climbing all over these FIA curves that we see here in an effort to hold off Jack Baldwin. But you're right, now it's the Archer brothers sandwiching the Hot Wheels by Mattel of Jack Baldwin.
Baldwin has now retreated just a bit. Archer continues to hold the advantage by about 3 car lengths. But another Archer has taken over the 3rd spot with Robinson 4th, Akers still 5th. Our first lead change of the competition. Jack Baldwin, who had been relentlessly stalking Tommy Archer, has now moved his Camaro into the lead. And Archer tries to make up the distance as for the first time today. He has a car now in front of him. And a car off course. This is Robinson, who'd been running in the top 5. He got into a tire barrier and watching the rest of the field go by. Robinson, who'd been a contender all day long, who had been running 3rd much of the afternoon, was still in the 4th position, got off course, and now behind him, Jinder Hahn in car number 40 and others trying to sort their way through. And there's Randy Ruhlman as well as the rest of the field comes through. Ruhlman, who had been running in the top 10, has coasted to a stop. And now we see Robinson backing up. He gets back under power.
Greg Pickett now. Yes, he is all over Scott Sharp. So now everything's begun to get strung out here a little bit. But Greg Pickett, remember all the trouble he had right off the bat when he spun at turn 1. And now it looks as if he has one of the fastest cars on the racetrack here. Look at this pass.
Pickett now coming to the inside. Remember his bad fortune at the start of this race. He started in the front row, spun out with contact, had to go deep into the pack. The yellow, of course, helped move him up. And now Pickett has worked his way forward. And Scott Sharp, who has won in Detroit the last 2 years. Here's major problems, and this is Paul Gentilozzi. His teammate, Robinson, is also involved. So suddenly things happening all over the streets of Belle Isle. And Paul Gentilozzi, who was 2nd in the season opener at Long Beach, 2nd in points coming in, experiencing a problem now as he's made contact, and you saw the head or the hood piece flying through the air.
Paul Gentilozzi was right up there in the thick of the battle with Willie T, etc. And now he just loses the car and it's all over. Look what happens here. Oh, man, he was pushed away by one of the Ford Mustangs trying to get down the inside. This is what we've seen all afternoon. When the cars try to get down the inside, it's almost impossible to have enough room, and the inevitable contact happens.
And look at Gentilozzi. He's determined he's going to drive it back to the pit somehow. So Robinson experienced problems, and then his teammate also ends up with this contact as he gets drilled and nails the concrete.
By Wayne Akers, that's who it was. It was difficult to pick out the number there. It happened so fast, but Wayne Akers tried to make that pass. Cars got together, no place for Gentilozzi to go, makes heavy contact with the inside wall.
Well, here is the Goodyear blimp. Overhead today, sporting the corporate blue and yellow. The Goodyear blimp, stars and stripes. At the controls, Captain Drew Marshall from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, enjoying what is suddenly a wild event on this brand new circuit at Belle Isle. Jack Baldwin is your new leader. Tommy and Bobby Archer, second and third. At Belle Isle, we're anticipating the green the next time by. Jack Baldwin is our leader over Tommy Archer. His brother Bobby is third. Wayne Akers and Ron Fellows rounding out the top five. Now, we get ready for the green flag. Let's go back and take a look at that lead change.
This is up the front straight, right before turn one. Jack Baldwin, now remember, earlier on we saw he had a dummy run at this, and he almost pulled it off. Knew exactly where Tommy Archer was weak, and he pounced and made the pass. Great move by Jack Baldwin.
We expect that the safety car will duck in to our screen left. It does. We get ready for the green. It's Baldwin on top with a pair of Archers right behind. Look at Willie T. Ribbs making a run for position now as they come down and accept the green flag. Ribbs is in the red number 15. Ron Fellows is right in front of him in car number 4. Fellows, who started 27th, now in the top 5 for the first time today, and he becomes a contender. But right now our attention focused at the front as the Archers challenge, and we keep an eye on the leader, Baldwin. Scott Sharp has had some problems today. He got up into the top 10 after a run from 26th, but he has lost a couple of positions. We're on board with Tommy Archer running in second place behind Jack Baldwin.
Oh, see Baldwin gets sideways under power there, exiting. The car gets a bit sideways. We saw Tommy Archer have that problem earlier on, but now Archer can put the pressure onto Jack Baldwin. I wonder, can the Archer brothers in any way work together here? If Bobby's car is faster, I wonder would Tommy move over and let him through. We'll have to wait and see.
Now let's go down into the pit area. Chris McClure is standing by with a disgruntled Paul Gentilozzi.
Paul Gentilozzi's day has done too much damage to the front of the car. Paul, the incident, what happened?
Well, after the yellow, the number 7 car was obviously hurt. He'd run into the barrier, and he was limping along, smoking, dripping fluids. And we were real patient. I waited till there was a straightaway, and I passed him. And I just got ready to start to brake the car, and he hit me from behind. He had held us up for 3 or 4 laps. He was holding the whole field up. And there was absolutely no reason for him to do that. It was real careless driving.
Paul Gentilozzi, very upset and out of the race.
And the amazing thing about this is that Wayne Akers, who was involved in the incident, continues to run up here among the top 5.
In fact, he's moved back a couple of positions here because Ron Fellows did pass him. Scott Sharp did pass him. Now look at Sharp inside Fellows.
Suddenly, Sharp again is a contender. He is now up there. He has repassed Ron Fellows. So we've got some great scrambling going on here among the front runners as they continue to challenge. It's Baldwin they're chasing. He's in 25, just going through. Then a pair of Archers. Here's Sharp in now the 4th position. So Sharp at his highest vantage point of any time today as Fellows back behind him. And both of these drivers, Sharp in 33 and Fellows in number 4, started from the rear of the field. So what an adventure they've had on this new circuit here in the streets of Belle Isle.
And of course the yellow flag that we had originally did help bunch these pack up. But remember also the 2 Dodge Daytonas, we've seen them be very loose. A lot of wheel spin, sideways driving out of these low-speed corners. That's what Scott Sharp is going to keep his eye on and try and pick an area for him to pounce.
Now here are the leaders. You see the beautiful Scott Fountain in the background on this scenic circuit. But look at this nose-to-tail procession out here. Sharp now trying to make a move on Bobby Archer. He gets by, and Scott Sharp is now up into third place, looking for his third consecutive victory in the Motor City 100. And suddenly he is very much a contender after it looked earlier as if maybe he had used the tires and his day would be won at mid-pack. But that's not the case. His sights set on second, and now he challenges Tommy Archer. They make contact. Sharp with his nose to the guardrail. He had problems like this in Long Beach in the late stages of the race. Loses 3-4 positions, and look at the damage, Derek, to the right front of the car.
Well, he tried to do what Jack Baldwin, his teammate, was able to do earlier on. We can have a look at that in replay. It was up along the front straight into turn one again. Scott Sharp thought he could get alongside Archer. In fact, he was a long way alongside him. But Tommy Archer was looking to get away with that. But there wasn't enough room as Tommy Archer squeezed him down. And Scott Sharp then could not get out of the position of trouble that he was in.
Willie T. Ribs was able to get by. Greg Pickett got by. Let's look at the replay.
Here's the run down the pit straight. Now, in fact, he's alongside him. I'm surprised Tommy Archer. I don't think Tommy Archer realized he was in there. Or Bobby Archer. Was it Tommy or Bobby? I got mixed up.
That was Tommy.
That was Tommy. I'm not sure he realized Scott Sharp was alongside him, because I don't think he would have turned in to take the risk and put himself out. But is it all action here or what?
Wow, it's still Baldwin, the leader. You see him, the rear bumper, from the onboard look of Tommy Archer. The battle continues at Belle Isle, and we have got a scorcher going in this one. Who'll get the victory? Well, stick with us from Belle Isle. Battle is for fourth place. We're watching Willie T. Ribs, currently in the 15 car, running fourth, chased by Pickett in number 6 and Sharp in number 33. Two three-car battles. A three-car battle at the front, a three-car battle right behind them for fourth place.
And Scott Sharp is battle-scarred with no real damage to the suspension, so he can keep running. And he is now trying to work his way back as he gets past Greg Pickett. He did make the pass earlier on, but Willie T. Oh, look at Pickett. Look down the inside of Willie T.
Pickett right there with his nose in position to challenge, and there's Scott Sharp as well. The scramble positions has been dramatic the last few laps as we near the final stages of this Motor City 100. Ribs desperately trying to hang on, but here comes Scott Sharp. Sharp back into the top 5. He's now back into the number 5 spot as Pickett is shuttled back to the number 6 position in car number 6.
We know Sharp has a very fast car. It'll take a lap or two to get his confidence back. He has that back, but now look, he's all over Willie T. Anything could happen here.
Scott Sharp continues to stalk. The race is for fourth place. Baldwin and the Archers run 1, 2, and 3 just ahead of this threesome. They continue to watch Ribs, his first Trans Am action in 3 years. The last time out, he was second here in Detroit. Right now, he's got his hands full trying to protect fourth place in the Roush Mustang.
And he does have his hands full. Look at, he chops across to the inside to make sure Scott Sharp didn't have any notion of trying to sneak down that inside. But Scott Sharp, very aggressive. His car is running well. It is probably faster than Willie T's. And we've seen what's happened when they try to make passes earlier on. But remember, we said it earlier, anything could happen.
Indeed, we've seen repeated incidents here in the late mid stages, and Sharp hits the wall. Sharp now has further damage to the car, and this one may be too much to handle. Yes, he will not be able to continue. We can see there's no rotation on the front right wheel whatsoever. The defending Trans Am Series champion, the two-time Motor City 100 winner, will not win for a third consecutive year. His second dramatic incident, and that time the concrete took the toll.
We said it, anything can happen. It was unexpected. He wasn't trying to make a move on Willie T. He was actually exiting the corner when the car suddenly ran straight into the guardrail. Maybe something broke.
Willie T. Ribs in problems. He had been running in fourth. He'd lost a position to Greg Pickett, was fifth, and now he is off course, setting crossways. And now traffic streaming by as Ribs gets restarted in the Whistler Mustang of the Jack Roush Racing stable. But what a great disappointment in the final stages of this event for Willie T. Ribs.
George Robinson was the Camaro who passed him there, but Willie T. looked as if he was getting very loose. The car was sideways coming off the low-speed corners. Now the oil flag is out, the red and white oil flag. may have been one of the reasons why Willie T lost it. But here it is. No, in fact, on the way into the corner, he's out of control. Luckily, he didn't kiss the concrete on the inside.
He had been running as high as in 4th place, but Ribbs right now will have to work from far back in the pack. Baldwin continues to set the pace, and he's got his mirrors full of 2 archers. Tommy in 32. No, it's Bobby in 32 has moved up. Tommy in number 3 has dropped to 3rd. So the archers have swapped position for the first time. And Bobby, who'd been hammering away, now will try his knack of getting by Jack Baldwin.
And we mentioned it earlier on. I wonder will they work together? Would Bobby, in fact, move ahead of Tommy to try and see if he's faster? No, they make another move here.
Trying to sort their way through traffic. They may have swapped positions once again with a lap car. And now it's Tommy Archer back into 2nd. Bobby Archer to 3rd. And look at Greg Pickett, who has suddenly materialized in the number 6 car. He is running 4th. And remember the adventure that he had on the start of this race?
Well, one way to lose this race is for the 2 Archer brothers to start racing among themselves, because they will slow each other down. And that, in fact, will let Jack Baldwin move away.
Now, this was a bit earlier. This was the incident that involved Scott Sharp. Sharp was challenging Willie T. Ribbs.
Now, he wasn't making an attempt to pass, but he did hit the curb on the inside, and that may have been what put Scott Sharp out of control and into the guardrail. The end of his day.
Now, we saw a piece come off the car when he hit the curbing. Watch closely down at the right front wheel. Now, you can see the piece of debris there. It comes, when he hits the curbing, it goes flying, and then the car skates right out into the concrete. And we'll go down to the pits now with Chris McClure.
As a matter of fact, Gary, we were just chatting with Scott Sharp about the possibility of something breaking. Did the car behave that way prior to the contact?
No, well, first of all, the Tercel Camaro was running great all day, and we really finally, the guys told me, you know, it's time to get going, and I got underneath Tommy in turn 1, and he came down on me, and I really thought I had it. But that's racing, I guess. But it seemed like the car didn't really suffer too bad, and we were rolling again. And next thing I knew, I was trying to pick off some cars, working on Willie T. Ribbs, and I went through a really slow left-hand corner, and it felt like something just broke in the front. It wouldn't turn at all, just slammed right into the wall.
We've got a battle and a change of the lead. Tommy Archer has now moved by, and here comes Bobby as well. The problems for Scott Sharp put him in the pits, and his teammate, now Baldwin, has slipped to 3rd place. And the Archer brothers now lead in the Motor City 100. That's Tommy Archer in the Dodge Daytona number 3. His brother Bobby in car number 32 right behind him. Baldwin shuttled back to 3rd. Greg Pickett comes into view. He is still 4th in car number 6. So the Archer brothers, in their debut in Trans Am competition this season, and only their 2nd event, have Dodge out in front, running 1st and 2nd. What an amazing turn. What has been an amazing afternoon, Derek Daly.
This has been Trans Am racing at its very best. Tommy Archer just stalked every move of Jack Baldwin, and Jack must have made a mistake because they passed him so fast and so quickly. Jack Baldwin seemed to wash right out of the racing groove on the infield Casino Square area, and both Dodges flashed right past him.
And the Archer crew watching on now as they realize they're 1 and 2. Tommy Archer holding on to the lead. Bobby Archer running in the 2nd position. Baldwin now 3rd. We keep an eye on our leader, Tommy Archer. He wiggles through that very busy part of the course. His brother's in trouble all the way around. That's Bobby Archer, and here comes Pickett in car number 6 sliding through to take over 2nd place. Tommy Archer continues to lead. Bobby Archer has lost 1 spot. We're on board with our leader, Tommy Archer, and another dramatic turn.
And the reason he lost control is that's one of the areas on the racetrack that's beginning.
Paul Newman, actor, Academy Award winner. Walter Payton, football player, possibly the greatest running back ever. Scott Sharp, college student. His life ahead is a green light. Auto racing, the sport that draws these 3 very different men together. Their team is running new cars, which must be tested and developed. At the same time, they will put themselves to the test. Payton, new to racing, seeks to adapt from the playing field to the cockpit. Sharp, Just 21, dreams of greatness. Racing the pros, he will find out just how good he is. And Newman, he will help Payton and Sharp in any way he can. But he has his own agenda, unfinished business in this sport he loves. They will talk of gearing and tires, of horsepower and roll bars. They will refine the cars and hone their skills. And when things are right, each will experience control of speed, the mastery of motion. It is the deep appeal of this sport.